Hey everyone, my name is Wedge. We're mere hours away from getting the rest of Fate Reforged, so you can expect our Best of the Rest series this weekend and into next week. Until then, we have a few cards to talk about, including one of the most interesting removal spells out there and a really expensive black mythic spell. Let's go out with a bang, shall we? Bang bang! Mardu Woe-Reaper, another amazing Mardu name, is 1 white mana for a 2/1 human warrior. Whenever it or another warrior enters the battlefield under your control, you may exile target creature card from a graveyard. If you do, you gain 1 life. This card's hilarious. Not only is it standard playable 2/1 for 1, but it's a warrior for the tribal deck, and it has a relevant ability against one of the biggest decks in standard right now. How sad do you think Sultai Whip players are going to be when you exile their Hornet Queen before they can do anything about it? That's just funny. The Woe-Reaper has serious standard implications if the Whip deck sticks around. I could see this on the sideboard of a ton of aggressive strategies that run white. Go Mardu, messing with the Sultai, it's shots fired for sure. This next card is either Summon the Ancestors or Rally the Ancestors, depending on whose translation you look at. Anyways, the card is X and double white for an instant. Return each creature card with converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Exile those creatures at the beginning of the next upkeep. Exile this card. This card conspicuously has haste absent from it. That is really weird. Don't get me wrong, spending 5 mana to get back all your 3 mana creatures for a turn might not be so bad, especially if there are some interesting enter the battlefield effects going on. The problem is that I'm not sure when I want to use this mana sink except on defense to ambush my opponent. At that point, I would need to keep all my mana open, waiting for the right time. It just seems really difficult to pull off. Maybe with the warrior deck, you can have a haste enabler in play and then alpha strike, but even then, not sure they need the help. Frostwalker is 2 mana for a 4/1 elemental. When it becomes the target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it. Cards like this for limited play are always great. Remember the illusionary cycle from a few years ago? Besides the fact that they made an amazing constructed deck, the illusions by themselves were just fine for limited. They had better than average power and toughness most of the time because of their unfortunate downside. The Walker's no different. What makes this good is that your opponent pretty much has to throw something under the bus to block this or waste a spell on it. Either way, your 2 mana just went pretty far. They can't really let a 4-power creature start attacking on turn 3 without some type of answer, you know? Wait, 4-power creature? This is a 2 mana ferocious enabler. Okay, now this card's genius. Removal spells, here we come. Reality Shift is 2 mana for an instant. Exile target creature. Its controller manifests the top card of their library. Oh, this card is stupid. Just another way for control decks to deal with, I don't know, anything ever in the world ever. Manus Rider, Sarkhan, Stormbreath Dragon, Siege Rhino, Opposing Pearl Lake Ancients, Butcher of the Horde. I feel like I could go on forever. Oh wait, I could. Reality Shift is the newest and arguably one of the most dangerous removal spells to hit standard. The exile is what makes it particularly powerful. Not only do you get around indestructibility, but the only downside is they get a 2/2, add instant speed, the card is dirty. It's a dirty card. Let's move away from standard. What's stopping this from being a sideboard card in Delver strategies in both modern and legacy? I'll reality shift to Tarmogoyf all day, no problem at all. Listen, if you're a blue player, you better be dancing on the ceiling right now. This could be the single best card out of Fate Reforged for eternal play. I don't know for sure, but we're talking about a 2 mana, instant speed, removal spell in blue that exiles. I'm beyond happy. Who needs black anymore? Blue-white control is just fine now. Thanks, Wizards. It's time to beat everyone into exile. Last thing about the shift. Sure, it isn't Path to Exile, Lightning Bolt, or Swords to Plowshares, but it is blue and it exiles. Don't let players tell you that it won't see eternal play just because Rapid Hybridization doesn't. This card exiles and gives them a 2/2. Much better by comparison. Much better. Even if it is for 1 more mana. Okay, rant over. The card's awesome. Renowned Weaponsmith is 2 mana for a 1/3 human artificer. You can tap it to add 2 colorless to your mana pool. Spend this only to cast artifact spells and activate abilities of artifacts. You can also pay 1 blue and tap it to search your library for a card named Heartpiercer Bow or Vial of Dragonfire, reveal it and put it into your hand. Vial of Dragonfire? What in the world is that? Okay, this card is strange to say the absolute least. Not only does it only search for 2 very specific cards, but one of them doesn't even come out until Dragons of Tarkir, and the other one is super awkward. I'm honestly not sure what to say about this, except for the fact that the Weaponsmith is just another card that Wizards is dangling in front of the blue-red artifact players. Life is hard for the Izzet right now, just stay strong, friends. Ghastly Conscription is our next super expensive black mythic sorcery. 5 colorless and 2 black mana. Exile all creature cards from target player's graveyard in a face-down pile, shuffle that pile, then manifest those cards. This card's too funny. I don't think we're looking at competitive constructed playability, but in a casual deck or even commander, this can route entire strategies. Anything based on recursion, done. The Conscription, if allowed to resolve, will probably add somewhere between 5 and 10 2/2s to your board, some of which you might be able to turn up if you have the mana for it. The card is just a funny card that might find its way into commander strategies to hate on graveyard-based decks. Mardu Scout is 2 red mana for a 3/1 Goblin Scout with dash, costing 1 colorless and 1 red. Despite how simple this card looks, it actually has a few different applications. The first one being in mono red Devotion. Double red is a nice mana cost for that deck. It also works really well with Purphoros, triggering 2 damage every time it dashes. Next, it has 3 power. If your opponent doesn't have a blocker, that's a repeatable lightning strike to the face every turn. Lastly, it dodges sorcery speed removal, something aggressive decks are usually soft against. The Scout could easily find a home in a standard deck. It might seem underwhelming, but do not underestimate it. That's how they get you. Ask Trumpet Blast. Abzan Beastmaster is 3 mana for a 2/1 Hound Shaman. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card if you control the creature with the greatest toughness or tied for the greatest toughness. I love this card straight to death for a few reasons. I like that it's a hound. We haven't seen enough of the Einok in this set, and that's a tragedy in itself. Next, this would also go great in Doran. You're going to have the most toughness every time easily. Lastly, I have a feeling that Abzan are going to be real good at doing what they've always done in this upcoming limited season. Building walls. The Beastmaster gives you solid card advantage from a trigger that you should get by default if you're playing Abzan. Or you could play Constructed and put this in with Meandering Tower Shelf. Synergy, yo. That ends our last day of spoilers before the entire set is revealed. How are you all feeling about Fate Reforged so far? We have a lot more cards to look at, but right now, which clan are you looking at as the best or the one you want to play the most? Still conflicted between my Teamer Roots and the Ancient Jeskai. I can't decide yet. Let me know what you think in the comments. Get ready for our Best of the Rest series and our Fate Reforged lore video in the coming week along with our pre-release primer. Get pumped, everyone. Pre-release is right around the corner. As always, subscribe for the latest and most reliable Fate Reforged spoiler information you could ever need. This is the Mana Source. I'm Wedge. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
What?